The health benefits of yoga on both body and mind are well known. Improved flexibility, balance and strength, decreased anxiety, better sleep, and much more. There's a camp at the Jersey Shore that combines some yoga on the beach with a surf lesson, adding a thrilling new dimension to a beautiful experience as the sun rises. I recently gave it a try, and I'll tell you all about it now on Still Time for Joy, where we share practical advice for weathering life's storms and inspiring stories of resilience. Hello, I'm Sandra Levine, host of Still Time for Joy. My guest today is Marissa McIntyre, owner of Yoga del Sol in Toms River, New Jersey, and part of the team that runs the Yoga Surf Series on the beach across the bridge. Welcome to the show, Marissa.
Hi, thank you for having me, Sandy.
So I'm so fortunate. My daughter Caroline gave me a surf lesson as a present, and we did it together recently. I had so much fun. Boy, is it hard, but I was certainly living in the moment, so that's a good thing. But before we dive into the whole yoga surf experience, I want to talk to you about your journey into yoga and meditation and how you got started with it.
Absolutely. I got started over 20 years ago, and I started looking for alternatives because I was suffering with anxiety. I was in a little bit of a depression, and I knew there had to be another way out from just suffering. So I started to look into yoga, meditation practices, Buddhism, things of that nature. They didn't have many yoga studios around at the time, so I started to get books. I'd go to the library or buy some books, and I just started reading about it and started with meditation. You know, every day I'd wake up, do a little meditation. At night I'd do a little meditation. Then I moved into the yoga. I started moving my body a little bit, and I was realizing, wow, things are shifting here. Something's happening. My anxiety was lessening. I wasn't struggling as much on a daily basis. My depression was lifting a little bit. Where I would wake up back then and just not want to move, not want to get out of bed. I started to look forward to things. I started looking forward to life again. If you or anyone you know have ever suffered from anxiety or depression, it really is crippling. So I just started to find the joy in my daily life again, for sure.
So talk to me about your early yoga and meditation practices and how they've evolved. You've also undergone extensive training.
Yes. So like I said, they started out just out of books, nice and simple. And then I just kept doing it more and more. I started looking for studios locally. There was one studio that was within maybe a 30-minute drive of my house at the time. So one day I said, I'm gonna go and give this a shot. It was totally different than what I thought it was gonna be. I was so used to practicing on my own. I was nervous, very intimidated, but it was so welcoming, the yoga studio environment. I felt safe instantly when I walked in there because it can be very intimidating for people. And then I just started to evolve through it. I just loved it. I got deeper and deeper into it. Eventually, I took a 200-hour training, which is the first training you take to become a yoga teacher. Covers all the basics. And then from there, I wanted more of the spiritual aspect. So I went on to my 500 and then many extensive trainings after that. I trained with Sri Dharma Mitra. He's my teacher. And that's where I really found that I wanted to bring this gift to other people.
So people who don't know much about yoga, what are the basics and what is involved as you go deeper?
So a lot of people think yoga is just stretching or breathing, meditating. There's what we call the limbs of yoga. There's 8 limbs of yoga, and the physical practice, the movements, is just one of the 8 limbs. So there's many different components to it. There's the breathing techniques, the meditation, of course. There's working on concentration, single-pointed concentration, working on your internal self, practicing compassion, non-harming, being truthful. There's so many layers and depths to it. You know, yoga's over 5,000 years old. It's been around for a really long time. So, and really what yoga is the science of self-realization is the definition of yoga. So the physical movements, although very beneficial, is really just a little part of it.
So, the teacher you studied under, tell me a little bit more about him and tell me some of the most important things you learned from him.
So Dharma Mitra is a well-known yoga teacher. He's been teaching and practicing yoga for a really, really long time. He's in his 80s now, and he still hosts classes in New York City, um, still hosts teacher trainings up there. So I go try and visit often. I was drawn to Dharma because of his compassion. He is just such a kind soul and a kind person. He really follows the first limb of yoga, which would be the yamas. Ahimsa is the first limb. It's about being non harmful, becoming vegetarian, not harming any animals, that we're all living beings. So treating each other with that empathy.
And all of your studying and all your practice eventually led you to open your very own yoga studio in Toms River called Yoga del Sol. Tell me a little bit about your studio and what kind of classes you offer.
So my studio is a great, nice big size. There's plenty of space. I opened it during COVID, just towards the end of COVID. I ran a studio down in Forked River for somebody. I managed it for a while. We closed because of COVID. And then I was drawn to reopen a space because what I was missing when COVID happened was the connection with people. Yoga studios are very big on connection. You make friends here, family, everyone's very intertwined with each other. So I was drawn to that because it was missing so heavily in my life when we were, stuck indoors. So I started to look around. I decided to open Yoga del Sol. I found this location, and yeah, it's been great ever since. We have all different style classes from beginners, gentle, all the way up to hot vinyasa, which is very invigorating, more of the challenging classes that we have. But we have a range from, so anyone could come, beginners to advanced.
And before talking to you today, I was researching some of the benefits of yoga, and it's amazing. Improves flexibility, stress relief, mental health, may reduce inflammation, can increase strength, reduce anxiety, improve quality of life, may boost immunity, improve balance. I mean, it's amazing that this practice can do so many great things. And your website is yogadelsolnj.com for anybody who wants to learn more about the classes that you offer. So, Marissa, let's get back now to yoga surf. Oh my gosh, was this fun? You do yoga first on the beach before you go into the water. And I was able to do it, which is something that I loved because I've been to a bunch of yoga classes that even though they say they're for beginners, I can't do half of the stuff they're doing. So thank you for making it easy for beginners. But tell me, why do you do yoga first before you go surfing?
A couple reasons. One, obviously, the physical benefits to get the body open, to open up the muscles, the joints, the limbs, and prepare yourself to be able to surf because it is, you're moving your body a lot on the surfboard, you're paddling. So that's one of the reasons, obviously, that we do it. The other reason is to calm your mind before you go into the water. So a lot of people might be surfing for the first time, especially in our camps. They might have a little anxiety, a little nerves. Maybe they have a fear of the ocean a little bit. So it helps to calm your nerves. We work on some breathing techniques, some movements, a little bit of meditation in there. And then when they come out of the class, even though it's a short class, I see the difference than when they got to the beach at 6 a.m. At 6:30 when we're done, I could see that they're all like, okay, all right, I'm ready. I can do this now.
And I've lived at the Jersey Shore practically my entire life, but yet I'd never tried surfing, and I just decided I had to try it. Boy, what a difficult sport to learn at first. I had a great time, but I spent an awful lot of time kind of getting hammered by waves and trying to wrangle my board that was leashed to my ankle and just not being able to really do it, but I still want to keep trying. So tell me just a few tips for people who are thinking about trying surfing. How long does it take before you can actually stand up on the board?
So it's different for everybody. My number one recommendation would be don't beat yourself up over it because It is very challenging, right? Sometimes we have hard enough time balancing on our feet, and now you're standing on top of a surfboard while you're moving through a wave. So it's very challenging. Take it slow would be my advice. Don't go in there and think, I have to go out today, surf, stand up, do all this. Just concentrate day one on getting through the waves and paddling. Maybe riding on your belly. How much fun is that when we used to body surf or use boogie boards? So just do that for a little while. You're still going to get all the joy and the benefits from it just by being out there.
Sure. And that is how I spent a lot of the time, is riding the waves in on my belly. And I took 3 lessons, and on one of them I did stand up a bunch of times. But boy, it's challenging, let me tell you something. But whether or not you stand up on the board is not the point at all. It's being out there, having a good time, the joy of being by the ocean, in the ocean, the beauty, the absolutely stunning beauty of going to the ocean at sunrise. So tell me a little bit about how your students experience being at the beach at sunrise. As much as we all talk about getting over to the beach to walk before sunrise, we don't always make that happen. So what do you see in your students as far as their joy in just being near and in the ocean?
Well, I mean, nature holds a power, right? So whenever we're out in nature, grounding is a huge thing. I don't know if you've ever heard about grounding, or they call it earthing, but where you just stand in the earth for 20 minutes, no shoes on, to gain the earth's energy. It's very healing for the body. It's the same with surfing and being in the ocean. You know, the ocean is living and breathing and moving, and every day it's changing. And she's a wonderful, powerful place that we respect for sure. She holds so many healing properties. Salt water. Think about the benefits of salt water for you, for your skin, to cleanse. We use salt water to cleanse internally. There's so many benefits. So what I see when the students go into the water is, again, maybe they have a little anxiety at first, maybe they're a little nervous, but once they get comfortable in there and they start to come out, they're beaming. And that's why I do this surf camp, just to see the joy in them. Our surf camp is for adults, right? So you see a ton of surf camps for kids. We wanted to gear it for adults because how many people do you talk to in life that are of whatever age that have said, oh, I always wanted to do this or that, and I never had the chance? Well, now they do. So we've had every age range. It's a beautiful thing. We can accomplish the things we want to accomplish at any point in life.
Well, that is great to remember. And locals here at the Jersey Shore do talk about, I need my dose of vitamin C, SEA. There is something so healing and so wonderful about just being near the ocean, just looking at the ocean. But when you actually get in it, whether you have a surfboard or not, it's doubly wonderful. So I highly recommend spending much time at the ocean and the beach as possible. So you run the surf camp with your partner, Jeff, and tell me what his approach is to teaching students how to surf.
So Jeff's been surfing for a really long time. He got into surfing for the physical benefits, but actually a lot talks about the mindful benefits that he has gained through surfing. If he's struggling with anything, he goes out there and it's so calming for him. It is a form of meditation. Once you get comfortable out there, you know, as we spoke about nature before, you're connected with nature. It is very calming to be there. So his approach is really, he takes them from the beginning all the way up. He starts on the basics. As you know, we start on land. You learn how to surf on land before you even get into the ocean. You learn how to stand, how to paddle. So right from the get-go, we start at the beginning, and then he works his way all the way up and has you standing and hanging 10 in no time.
Oh my goodness. So you started your yoga studio and your classes at the beach to help people feel better, to help them connect with their breath, to help them reduce their anxiety, be more physically fit. How do you feel about seeing people who are feeling better and are improving by attending your classes or by taking advantage of other things at your studio?
It makes me happy for them because a lot of people do come to yoga because they're struggling with something or through something. And to watch them be able to overcome whatever that struggle is through this practice, this amazing practice, it brings me happiness, not for me though, for them. to see them now start to evolve through. It really is a beautiful thing to witness all the time. They meet community of like-minded people. Everybody's here for this positive benefit. Nobody's here for anything negative, right? It's amazing. It really is amazing. I can't even, it's so hard to put that part into words because you just see them. I mean, even if I showed you a picture of someone 5 years ago and now that worked through something through the practice of yoga, it really is tremendous. It fully on changed my life. It made me a better person. Not that I was a horrible person, but we can all improve and grow, right? It made me such a better person. It made me kinder, more empathetic, brought me compassion for all beings. People will say all the time, oh, I did a teacher training or I started doing yoga and it's life-changing. And it really, truly is life-changing. I don't know where my life would be if I didn't find this practice, where I would have ended up, how I would have handled and worked through some things. So I'm beyond grateful that I have this tool for sure.
Well, Marissa McIntyre, you're using the knowledge that you've learned and your experiences to help so many others. Thank you for the work you're doing, and thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me. Now we got to get you into class in the studio.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you, Sandy.
If you found today's show helpful, please share the information with someone who needs it and follow Still Time for Joy for more practical tips on weathering life's storms, as well as inspiring stories of people who have turned their pain into purpose. Please consider supporting the work that goes into producing the show on Patreon. Follow Sandra Levine Productions on Facebook and YouTube, and learn more at sandralevine.com.